Miss Hennelly here, back with some Hennelly hacks for great teaching. This one, another important one. I know I say it all the time, but they are. That's why I'm sharing them with you. This one, I have to be honest, I hear lots of veteran teachers making this mistake. Okay, here's the real deal. You have to meet a kid, a student, where they're at, right? So it's one of my favorite parts of teaching actually is being diagnostic and prescriptive, right? You look at the student as an individual, you see where they are, and then you prescribe lessons that will help the student master a skill and keep kind of moving up, right? I hear veteran teachers all the time complaining that students aren't mastering a certain reading skill, and then I'll say, but they're not reading at that level, right? Or a math skill, right? Like, oh, these kids, they're really struggling with division. Well, that's because they haven't learned how to subtract with borrowing, or they may not know their facts, right? There are many lessons, right? Learning is foundational, right? You have to build the foundation and keep adding on, just like building a house. Sometimes teachers forget, and I understand why. Because they're expected to teach at a certain level. But teachers, we understand that can't happen. You have to meet the student where they're at, give them the remediation that is needed, and then teach them the skill that is needed after you've laid that foundation. A child will not master division if they cannot subtract, or if they do not know their facts. So if you're beating your head against the wall because you're trying to teach them division, you're going to keep beating your head against the wall. It's the same thing with reading, right? If kids, I hear this a lot because I'm the head ELA teacher in my building. And and I teach fourth grade. And I've heard fourth grade teachers say it. I've heard fifth grade teachers saying, well, these kids don't know their letter sounds. Okay, then you have to teach them their letter sounds. Like you did the first job, you've pinpointed where the problem is. Now you have to go in and do that. Now, again, I get it. Where you find the time, you have to be masterful at that. You have to be a master. That's why teaching is so difficult. You really have to figure out how to get the remediation done so that child can be successful. You can't sit there and complain about them not learning. You have to go on the attack. And that's what I really loved and love about teaching is looking at each student as an individual and seeing where the weaknesses are, where those holes are, and then developing remediation specific for that child in helping them to build slowly until they're able to master those skills. I got to tell you, and when it happens, it's a beautiful thing when you see it. But you have to figure out how to do it. You have to be a magician. You really do. But my advice to you is don't beat your head against the wall. Okay? Meet the student where the student is. And then build your remediation and teach what needs to be taught. I promise you, it's going to save you a lot of stress. As a matter of fact, I can add one more connection to life, because we're always talking about making connections in classrooms. Writing's another one, right? I hear all the time, I can't get these kids to write. And I said, well, what are you expecting them? What's the purpose? What do they have to write? Oh, they have to write an essay, but they can't even write a sentence. That's what the teacher says. And I said, okay, well then why on earth are you having them try to write an essay? Teach them how to write a really good sentence. And then when you're done teaching them how to write a really good sentence, then you teach them how to write a paragraph. And then, well, I shouldn't have to do that. They're fourth, fifth grade. Okay. But that's where they're at. I don't want to hear, well, I shouldn't have to do that. They're in fourth grade, fifth grade. Everybody learns at a different pace. There's many different reasons why kids have deficits. And it's your job as a teacher to address those deficits. So this is a really important one. I know I've taken some time in explaining it, but please don't look out at your classroom and give one blanket lesson and think that that is going to be enough. It is not. If you have a class of 20 students, you have 20 individuals in there with different weaknesses and different strengths. And you would be doing them an injustice if you just give a blanket lesson. So please, please look at the individual, look at them and see where the weaknesses are, where the strengths are, and teach them from that point on. I hope this helps. It's a really important one. It's a one that has made me very successful over the past 32 years. So I wanted to share that with you. Have a great year. I hope you're having a great year. And please, as always, don't hesitate to reach out if you want to talk more. Hennelly Institute at Positive Power Nation, or the Hennelly Institute at Gmail. Have a good one.